Sometimes the greatest movie magic isn't written in a script or planned by a genius director. It just happens that a wrong move, a forgotten prop, a spontaneous burst of emotion, and suddenly you have a moment that defines cinema forever. From accidental slaps and shattered mirrors to improvised one-liners that became iconic, here are 20 unforgettable movie scenes that were never meant to happen. But thank the movie gods they did. If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. Number 1. The Bloody Proposal, Chinatown, 1974. Sometimes reality bleeds into fiction, literally. In Chinatown, one of the most haunting scenes in film history came from a real moment of pain. During the explosive confrontation between Jack Nicholson and Evelyn Mulwray Faye Dunaway, director Roman Polanski instructed Nicholson to give Dunaway a light slap, something to heighten the tension, nothing more. But Nicholson, fully immersed in his character's anger, lost control. His slap landed hard, too hard, and blood began to trickle from Dunaway's nostril. Polanski didn't yell cut. Instead, he kept the cameras rolling. What followed was Dunaway's stunned, trembling reaction as she shouted the line that would shock audiences for decades. "She's my sister and my daughter." That wasn't just performance, that was real pain, confusion, and fury captured in one raw, unrepeatable take. Dunaway was livid after the scene, reportedly furious at both Nicholson and Polanski. But on screen, that moment became the very heart of Chinatown's emotional violence, proof that sometimes truth hits harder than fiction. Number 2, You Talking to Me? Taxi Driver, 1976. It's one of the most quoted lines in movie history, and it was never written down. In Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver, the script simply said, Travis talks to himself in the mirror. That's it. No dialogue, no direction. When the cameras rolled, Robert De Niro stared into his reflection and began to create. You talking to me? You talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here. De Niro later said he borrowed the phrase from a Bruce Springsteen concert he'd attended, where the rock star joked with the audience. Scorsese, stunned by De Niro's improvisation, just let him go. The result was electric, a portrait of loneliness and madness, so real it became legend. That unscripted moment defined the character of Travis Bickle and became shorthand for the dark poetry of alienation that Taxi Driver captured so perfectly. Number 3. The Subway Breeze, The 7-Year Itch, 1955. Sometimes an image outlives the movie itself. The sight of Marilyn Monroe's white dress billowing over a subway grate is perhaps the most famous image in all of cinema. Yet the script for The 7-Year Itch simply said, her dress blows up slightly. When director Billy Wilder decided to film the scene on Lexington Avenue in front of hundreds of bystanders, he had no idea he was creating history. As the subway roared beneath her, Monroe's dress didn't just lift, it flew. Flashbulbs popped. Crowds cheered, and her then-husband, Joe DiMaggio, fumed with jealousy. That night marked the beginning of the end of their marriage. But for Monroe, that unscripted gust of wind transformed her into a symbol of beauty, of freedom, of old Hollywood glamour frozen in time. What started as a simple gag turned into a legend. Number 4, here's Johnny. The Shining, 1980. Sometimes terror is born out of a joke. In Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, the script told Jack Nicholson to yell, "Wendy, I'm home," as he smashed through the bathroom door. But Nicholson, ever the improviser, had a better idea. Drawing on late-night TV, he shouted the famous Ed McMahon catchphrase from The Tonight Show, "Here's Johnny." Kubrick, who was British and unfamiliar with American television, didn't get the reference at first. He nearly cut it. But the crew convinced him to keep it. That one improvised shout turned a horror scene into something far more memorable, a twisted blend of comedy and insanity that perfectly captured Jack Torrance's descent into madness. Even decades later, that line still echoes through pop culture, all from an actor riffing on a talk show joke. Number 5, The Champagne Cork, Casablanca, 1942. Sometimes comedy pops when you least expect it. During the scene where Captain Renault, Claude Rains, shuts down Rick's cafe, he casually orders champagne before delivering the line. I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here. But during filming, the cork got stuck. When Rains finally forced it open, it shot across the room with a loud pop. Without missing a beat, Rains looked up, smirked, and ordered, "Oh, please, Major, round up the usual suspects." The moment wasn't scripted, but it was perfect. Director Michael Curtiz immediately saw the humor in the accident and kept it. That happy mishap gave Casablanca one of its most iconic comedic beats. Number 6, Here's Looking at You, Kid. Casablanca 1942. Romance, poker, and pure improvisation. Between takes, Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman played poker to pass the time. Every time Bergman won a hand, Bogart would smile and say, "Here's looking at you, kid." When it came time to film the Paris flashback scene, Bogart slipped the line into his dialogue, unplanned, natural, and heartbreakingly tender. Director Curtiz loved it so much, he had Bogart repeat it during the film's emotional farewell at the airport. That offhand poker phrase became one of the most romantic lines in movie history, proof that chemistry can't always be written, but it can be felt. Number 7, I'm Walking Here. Midnight Cowboy, 1969. A taxi, a near miss, and a line that defined New York. When Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight filmed their street scene, they were surrounded by real Manhattan traffic. Suddenly, a cab ran a red light and nearly hit Hoffman. Staying in character as Ratso Rizzo, he slammed his hand on the hood and yelled, "I'm walking here. I'm walking here." The line wasn't in the script. It wasn't planned. It was Hoffman's split-second reaction. Raw, annoyed, completely authentic. Director John Schlesinger kept the take, knowing it captured the pulse of the city better than anything else. One accident, one reaction, and a new chapter in movie realism was born. Number 8, The Real Slap, Gone with the Wind, 1939. Vivien Leigh's shock wasn't acting. Director Victor Fleming was frustrated with her restrained reaction to Rhett Butler's, Clark Gable's, anger. So he whispered to Gable before the next take, "Hit her. Really hit her." When the scene rolled, Gable did, catching Leigh completely off guard. Her stunned, trembling reaction made it into the final cut, her fury and hurt blurring the line between performance and reality. It's a moment of raw authenticity, one that modern filmmaking ethics would never allow, but one that demonstrates how much emotional truth can live in the unscripted. Number 9, The Forgotten Flower. It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. Even a mistake can make a masterpiece. Jimmy Stewart, still wrestling with his wartime trauma, was supposed to reach into his pocket during a bar scene and find flower petals, a symbol of his daughter's innocence. But the prop man forgot them. Stewart reached in, found nothing and froze. Then, something broke inside him. He began sobbing uncontrollably, his voice cracking as he whispered, "I'm not very good at this." That wasn't in the script. That was a man losing control on camera. Director Frank Capra didn't stop rolling, and the result was one of the most genuine emotional breakdowns in film history. A missing prop gave us a moment of raw humanity that still resonates decades later. Number 10, The Shattered Mirror, Citizen Kane, 1941. Pain, rage, blood, and genius. During the scene where Charles Foster Kane destroys his wife's bedroom, Orson Welles accidentally slammed his hand in a drawer, cutting it badly. Instead of stopping, he kept acting, channeling his real agony into an uncontrollable rampage, smashing furniture, shattering mirrors, and bleeding for real as the camera rolled. The result? A scene of pure, frightening realism. Welles later needed stitches, but the take stayed in the film. It captured the madness of power and loss in a way that no planned performance ever could. Kane's destruction was meant to be acting. Instead, it became art through pain. Number 11, The Pottery Scene, Ghost, 1990, Passion, Clay, and a Borrowed Song. When filming Ghost, director Jerry Zucker realized something crucial was missing, a moment that showed Sam and Molly's deep love before tragedy struck. So, they improvised. Someone on set happened to have a Righteous Brothers cassette tape. They played Unchained Melody as Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore molded clay together. The result was cinematic lightning, sensual, soulful, and utterly unforgettable. What began as a last-minute fix became one of the most romantic scenes in movie history, parroted endlessly but never topped. Number 12, I'll Have What She's Having. When Harry Met Sally, 1989, sometimes the best punchline comes from Mom. In the now legendary deli scene, Meg Ryan's fake orgasm was supposed to end in silence. But during rehearsal, director Rob Reiner's mother, Estelle, chimed in with an idea. After that, an old lady should say, "I'll have what she's having." Everyone laughed, and Reiner knew he had gold. Estelle herself ended up delivering the line in the final cut. One offhand suggestion turned a funny scene into an immortal one, proof that great ideas can come from anywhere.